Mr. Steiner, of course, a career non-parallel. I know it well, believe me. A career non-parallel to anybody I know. He's been everywhere and always in good spots. Of course, the World Series there for him in L.A. Charlie, it's a pleasure. How weird was it courting a championship from your living room as far as 2020 is concerned?
I always figured my career began when I was 6 years old in the basement of my house on Long Island. We had an RCA Victor black and white TV set. I'd turn the sound down and announce games. Little did I know that 65 years later, I'd be calling the World Series championship from my living room. Talk about coming full circle. You know, everything about 2020 has been bizarre. Every once in a while, there were wonderful moments, and certainly that was the case after the Dodgers finally won the World Series. Was it strange? Yes, but it was just part of the package that is and was 2020.
Yeah, I mean, you really had to find your own emotion. That's a great call there at the end. And that Urias is, boy, what a reliever he is. He has done a tremendous job. What a job he did in Game 7 against Atlanta when he had a lot of pressure on him, nursing that one-run lead. And then, of course, you know, his effectiveness in the World Series. I'm sure they're going to make him a starter next year, but boy, he is he's got ice water in his veins. Great performance. Let's talk about that for a sec. Go ahead.
Let's not forget, Urias was discovered by Mike Brito and then Dodger developmental guy Logan White when he was 16. They were on a scouting mission to look at a fellow named Yasiel Puig. And then all of a sudden, here's this 16-year-old kid doing what he did. He came along with the package, and of course, he certainly outlasted Puig with the Dodgers. And so he has been a project since he was 16, and there he was to finish it up at the end of 2020. It was, and he is just a fabulous story.
You know, it's funny, too. You know, the Dodgers and Yankees, the teams that got hurt financially probably more than anybody else are the teams that put 50,000 fans in their ballpark every year, or every game, which is what the Dodgers and Yankees do. So the Dodgers will go into 2020 a little bit behind the eight ball financially based on what happened with their attendance in this past year. What's your take on that for a sec? Let me hear.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think everybody is. I just saw today the Phillies let about 80 people go. Yeah, this pandemic is not just confined to the Dodgers and the Yankees. It is, you know, we are in a recession/depression. Baseball is no different. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I think it's fair to say that Mookie Betts in his 12-year, $360 million contract is the last big contract that we will see for many, many years to come. It's just the way of the world, not just baseball, but everybody. I think it's going to be fascinating this offseason to see free agents, how far they go, where they go, and for how much, how many years. There is such uncertainty across the board in the industry and throughout the world that the days of the mega contracts, I think, are behind us for many years to come.
We shall see. Interesting call there. How about the area there? The Lakers won and the Dodgers won. I know you don't get a real sense when you can't go outside too much, but did you catch the euphoria of the fan base since the Dodgers hadn't won since '88? Did you sense that even from your living room, Charlie, here the last couple of weeks?
Absolutely. Of that, there is no question. You know, again, back all the way to, say, last year, you went into the clubhouse for the celebrations. You went out on the streets for the celebrations. You went out on the streets for the parades. None of that. And so, yes, the fans certainly were wrapped up in all of this. Just listening to talk radio and reading the papers and looking at the internet. This was a big deal, but again, it was tainted by the asterisk of 2020. Yet the Dodgers are the champions. And I'll say this, Chris, 16 years I've been out here and a Dodger fan since I was 5 or 6. This was a moment where there was a palpable sense of relief. The fact that the wait, W-E-I-G-H-T and W-A-I-T, finally had come to an end. It was a really big deal.
Wow, how about that? Now, Charlie, of course, went to San Francisco the summer after his high school graduation before he went to go follow Chet Walker down at Bradley. So this is a good question for him because he is going to be involved in a documentary about the Bee Gees. Now, that's not the band that Charlie went to go chase at Haight-Ashbury, but you get the idea as he works now with the Bee Gees. Tell me about this little project you've been on there, Charlie. I'm interested. Go ahead.
Well, it really began, unbeknownst to me, when we were both kids, you and I was working at a radio station in New York, 99X. It was a top 40 station. And in 1979, 1980, the Bee Gees were coming out with one hit after another, and basically turned the radio station into a disco station. The Bee Gees became a phenomenon. Little did I know, fast forward all these years later, they were putting together a documentary that HBO is going to air on the 12th of December about the Bee Gees and what they meant for the music industry. I had no idea. And somehow they contacted me because I was on this radio station that had turned basically morphed into top 40 to the first real disco station in the country. And I am, I guess, part of a bridge in that segment. I've only seen the trailer for this show, but it looks really phenomenal. You look back at the Bee Gees and what they meant to the music industry pre-disco. You know, they came out of all that hard rock in the late 60s into the nice melodic harmonic sound. They really were a transcendent band, and there was a lot of tragedy along the way in their story. And I'm looking forward to seeing it as much as anybody.